ॐ श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः वस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। ॐ नारायणः परो व्यक्तात् अण्डमव्यक्तसम्भवम् अण्डस्यान्तस्त्विमे लोकाः सप्तद्वीपा च मेदिनी। Now, so we saw avidya lakshana prakritihi maya pravartate. Swabhavah is avidya lakshana prakritihi. So prakritihi, the nature. What nature? The nature of the jiva before knowledge. That nature, also known as avidya, also known as Maya. Maya for Ishvara is all knowledge. Maya for the jiva is what? Ignorance. Not fair, but this is how the setup is. Maya for Ishvara is all knowledge. Is there a chair for Indira ji? This chair somebody can give. Here. Come here. So, Maya for the jiva is what? Ignorance. The ignorance is swabhava but not Swarupa. Do you understand the difference? Swabhava is, this is like a long-standing thing, long-standing issue. Swarupa means that which is intrinsic to oneself is called Swarupa. Swarupa of everyone, including all the kinds of jivas, human jiva, non-human jiva is what? Satchidananda. Swabhava is self-ignorance, Atma Ajnanam in this context. And then we saw that, so ityadina vakshyamana means that which is going to be talked about. Where? In the 7th chapter it's going to be talked about, because that same Maya which we see from an individual standpoint is seen from the samashti. Samashti means what? The total standpoint. And we cannot say Maya is an entity. Oh, so it's not an entity? We cannot say Maya is not an entity. What do you mean it's not an entity and it is an entity? Well, how can you not say both? Because the Maya also means mithya from the collective standpoint, and then mithya has two definitions. What are the definitions? Adhishthana ananyat, that which is non-separate from the adhishthana ananyat, and then the other one non-separate from sat, and the other one sad asadbhyam trishanku, in between, sad asadbhyam anirvachya maya mithya, that which cannot be categorically established as existent or dismissed as non-existent. So, you cannot establish the Maya, or anything in the world you cannot establish. Like starting with your own shirt. What is this shirt? Fabric. You cannot say shirt is, this shirt is separate from fabric, you cannot say. So, shirt is fabric, and then, okay, now I have arrived at the real cause of shirt. What is that? Fabric. Fabric has its own cause. What is the cause of fabric? Yarn. Cotton yarn, polyester yarn, and then silk yarn, any other yarn, and then after that, yarn also becomes an effect when seen from the standpoint of its own cause. What is the cause of yarn? Fibers, cotton fibers. And then what is the cause of the fibers? Cotton pod. What is the cause of the cotton pod? Cotton bush. What is the cause of the cotton bush? Cotton seed. And here we can go on a merry-go-round. What is the cause of the seed? Another cotton bush. What is the cause of another cotton bush? Yet another cotton seed. What is the cause of yet another cotton seed? Yet another cotton bush. And we'll be here the whole time. And so, either everything has to end in an infinite regress. This is what mithya is. Cannot be established, cannot be dismissed. Just like this Jagat cannot be established. That's why the Drishti Srishti Vada, because it has not a leg to stand on, yet it cannot be dismissed. You say, what, I am driving on the road and these potholes on the road are non-existent. And then you drive on the road very fast, and the potholes, the non-existent potholes will take you to a non-existent osteopathic doctor, yes, chiropractor, you'll have to go. So therefore, that which cannot be categorically dismissed and categorically affirmed, which is why Maya is magic. It's, if you know Maya, she's the most enjoyable thing, really. She's most entertaining, she's most enjoyable. Only thing is, you must not let her take you for a ride. Yeah. How do we do that? We learn lessons from Ishvara. Ishvara doesn't let her take him for a ride, and so we don't let Maya take us for a ride. And so this way, and how to not let Maya take us for a ride, that is very clearly understood by study of Vedanta. So this Maya from the individual point of view was talked in chapter 4, which is the cause of the birth of Bhagavan Krishna as an avatara. Here it is being alluded to as the jiva which is wielded by Maya in the form of Atma Ajnanam. And then in 7th chapter it's going to be talked about from the collective standpoint. So now, because of the presence of this Maya, which is of course mithya, that is why it is useful to have the 3 orders of reality. This is according to the Vivarana school. What did we discuss in the earlier class? Bhamati school. And what does the Bhamati school say? Among other things, Drishti Srishti Vada. And then what does Vivarana school say? Vivarana school subscribes to the 3 orders of reality because we need a place to grow. Jagat is the place to grow. The Srishti becomes a place where I can grow, where I can do karma yoga, where I can pursue knowledge. All these things happen where? Jagat. So the Jagat becomes a very important interim reality until I understand myself as the whole, and then the Jagat is no longer useful in the way that it was before, because I don't need anything from the Jagat. I don't need comfort from the Jagat, I don't need knowledge from the Jagat, I don't need validation from the Jagat. So the Jagat is as good as useless. So, like I said yesterday, we don't have to make the pot disappear. Even while seeing the pot is really not there. Why? Because a change of understanding, a revolutionization of the vision has taken place. So even though the Srishti is there, it does not hold out any allure to me. To understand that, you need the Srishti. You need the Srishti to be able to understand that. And another point is this, that this whole Vedanta Shastra is based on preparation. And for the preparation, there should be interaction. For mutual growth, for growth, there should be interaction. You have to rub against somebody, and somebody has to rub against you back. And then you should not talk for a few days. And then both people grow as a result. And so this is how the growth happens. Because one rubs against situations, people, and if there is nothing to rub against, then there is no possibility of growth. And so therefore the 3 orders of reality is actually really one, the subjective order of reality called Pratibhasika, that is also what? Ishvara only, because the split between the conscious and the unconscious mind in each person is a gift of Ishvara. Why did Ishvara give such a terrible gift, this unconscious mind? Because otherwise one would not be able to grow up. The child doesn't have a way to process its hurts. It doesn't know anything. It thinks, I must be at fault. There is something wrong with me. And so the child has no way. So the child has to be protected from its own pains and sorrows. And so Mother Maya puts a veil there so that the child stops wailing. That's what the Mother Maya just puts a veil of ignorance. Ignorance regarding my own childhood. Nobody remembers. Very few people remember. And even then the memory is very hazy. But then when the person is able to process the pains and the hurts, then the memories come back, usually in the light of a trusted relationship. This is why marriage is very useful. And that's why we say the honeymoon is over. Meaning what? The unconscious has started to come out. Unconscious has started to come out. Why are you always doing like this? One partner can ask the other. And the other one will say, what do you mean by always? We have only been married for 10 days. What do you mean by always? And then it is an opportunity for the first person to say, okay, there is a problem here. What is this always? Who did this to me before? What is this memory bringing up? What is this incident? What memory is this incident bringing up? All these things are part of the homework of growth. And so the unconscious mind is also what? Ishvara. So Pratibhasika Satta is really what? Ishvara. So that I subscribe to it is not Ishvara, that I continue to be run by it is not Ishvara, because I have the free will to come out of it. But the existence of the unconscious mind is Ishvara, and then Jagat is what? Ishvara. And Satchidanandam Brahma is also what? Ishvara. So every level we start the Ishvarification. So we Ishvarify, is that a word? Yes, now it is. Yeah. So we Ishvarize the Antahkarana. We Ishvarize the Antahkarana. We see Ishvara in place of pain, sorrow, all emotions, we see Ishvara. And then coming to the Jagat, what is the Jagat? Every name and form in the Jagat is what? Ishvara. And then the end of Vedanta is what? Aham Brahmasmi. Brahman there is who? Ishvara. So the first two levels are Ishvarified, and then that helps me to resolve that duality or this triad or these three orders of reality. And then I understand, first I understand everything as Ishvara, then I grow to understand everything as myself, as these two verses are showing that I am not in charge of karma, I am not karta, I am nothing. And then I'm not the instigator of action. Next one, nadatte kasyati chit papam na jaiva sukritam vibhuhu ajnanena vritam jnanam tena muhyati jantavah. Muhyanti jantavah, correct, yeah. So, well, we can say something. What can we say? You know what? We don't have to do this. We can just, what is that? We can say, na kartritvam na karmani srijati, na karma phala sanyogam swabhavastu pravartate. This second verse in this triad, we can say is unnecessary. Why? Because Kartritvam, do worship, objects, and then Karma Phala Samyoga. Karma Phala Samyoga means the connection between the object and the result. Desire and object and result. All this is uncreated. Now, why do we have a separate discussion on Papa and Punya also being uncreated? This should not have been there. There need not be Papa Punya, and there need not be a discussion in this verse. What is that? That Papa Punya Bhagavan does not take. Bhagavan does not partake. Vibhuhu. Earlier, what was the Atma called? Prabhuhu. And now, Raimi Vibhuhu. Prakarshena bhavati iti Prabhuhu. Vividham bhavati iti Vibhuhu. Manifest in many forms. Vividham bhavati, and then from the bhavati you take bhu, and then from the vividha you take vi. So, Vibhuhu. And so, there need not be this verse, but there is a special reason why this verse is given to clinch this particular discussion. So let us look at the verse. Na adatte kasyachit papam na adatte na cha eva sukritam, and we have to bring back the verb adatte vibhuhu. Ajnanena avritam jnanam tena jantavaha muhyanti. This would be the anvaya, more or less. Okay. So, adatte means takes on, takes up. What? Kasyachit. No, anybody's. Anybody's what? Papa. Atma does not take on Anybody is Papa. It does not take on the Papa particular to that particular body and mind sense complex, nor does it take up somebody else's Papa also. This is a very important discussion. Because usually what happens, we have some people, especially not Vedantins, but other kind of religious people will say to their followers, they might say, I am suffering because I am taking your Papa. Vedantin will never say that. Vedantin will say, I don't want my own Papa, why will I take yours? That's a very healthy attitude based on this verse. Yeah. I'm distancing myself through knowledge from my own Papa. I'm not saying that this is, if I'm not an actor, how will I have Papa Punya? But then there is a kind of a prevalent myth in the religious world where it is said, oh, this Mahatma, so good, why all my Papa Mahatma has taken? Yeah. Maybe they say that to give some comfort, giving them the benefit of doubt. They say that to give comfort, which is okay. If that is the case, no problem. But here, if we are talking of the study of Vedanta, nobody needs to take on anyone's Papa. Okay? Yeah. Why? Because Atma is free of Papa and Punya. Why is Atma free of Papa and Punya? If they ask you as soon as you get down the stairs at the end of the class, what will you say? Because it is not done anything. It is free of do worship. Therefore, it is free of the results of do worship, which is good karma, bad karma, good results, bad results, whatever it is, comfortable situations, uncomfortable situations. All that has nothing to do with Atma. And if Atma is also seen, first we have to see the verse as Atma, Atma Swarupa, and then we have to see the word as what? Bhagavan. The word Vibhu has to be seen as Bhagavan. So Bhagavan also is not, and this is how Adi Shankara interprets Vibhu. Bhagavan does not take on Bhakta's Papa. This is also news to many people. Yeah. Why? Because the main idea of going to temple for me is to go and lay all the burden of all my Papa, wherever it is, I put it on the altar and come away, it's yours. Bhagavan says, it's not mine, thank you very much. Oh, maybe Bhagavan wants my punya. No. Punya also Bhagavan gives back to you. Whatever you give, Bhagavan gives back to you intact. And try this with 108 modaks on a plate. Yeah. Om pranaya swaha, apanaya swaha, yanaya swaha, udanaya swaha, samanaya swaha. This is all chanted with eyes closed. Brahmane swaha. And then you open the eyes, only 5 are left. No. Same exact 108 will be left. Whatever you give is given back to you. Why? Because nothing touches the Atma, nothing touches Ishvara, which means only one thing. The Swarupa of I and the Swarupa of Ishvara are what? One and the same, identical, not similar, identical. Both are free of Papa, both are free of Punya. Therefore, this taking on somebody's Papa and somebody's Punya is not at all suitable to a Vedantin. This kind of talk is not suitable at all. And even in, in the Adi Shankara Digvijaya, there are so many stories, and some of the stories gain traction after the Mahatma has gone. Many, many decades afterwards, people see things that are not there, or they add on things, the stories get added on to, and then there are many stories where the Papa was taken by Adi Shankara himself and then neutralized. All these things are there. That can be explained. The neutralization of Papa as a form of prayer can be explained as your own karma phala. How? See, supposing somebody is suffering from a disease, let's say, and they are asked to chant some chant. Sri Rudram they are asked to chant, and they are asked to do some abhisheka, they are asked to do some puja. And diligently, sincerely, with a lot of feeling, they do the puja, they chant the mantra, all these things they do. And they find that they are relieved from that condition. And the lay person's understanding is what? Bhagavan took away my disease. I had a terrible disease, Bhagavan took it away. I had a life-threatening disease, Bhagavan took it away. Why? Because I went to temple for 16 Mondays and then Bhagavan took it away. This is a belief. This belief is based on the lay people's understanding, but really from a Vedantic standpoint, we can explain it very, very logically. So, 16 days you went and you did this puja, and then that itself was what? That itself brought out karma phala, correct? And that karma phala, you intended it to be directed towards what? The sickness. Because that is the sankalpa. The statement of intent is a very, very important part of the puja. So the statement of intent was there, and the statement of intent is what? Mama upatta durita kshayadvara Shri Parameshwara Prityartham. Shri Parameshwari Prityartham. Ahamidam karishye. So mama upatta means earned by me. Durita, papas. The papas that are manifesting in the form of sickness in this example. So this papa, kshaya, so that this papa is reduced, neutralized, so that the bhasmikaranam of this papa takes place, the papa is burnt in the fire of what? New punya that has been unleashed. So they, whichever Mahatma suggested, you please pray, you do this puja, you do this chant so many number of times, that is what? Creating new karma as an inoculation for the past karma. That is what it is. But the lay people don't understand karma phala. Karmani akarmayah pashyet, they don't understand. And so what do? They ascribe it to an entity. The guy in the sky, aka Bhagavan, took away the papa, gave me punya. This is the understanding, and that is why this verse is important. Even though it was mentioned in the last verse, it's not a redundant verse because there is a big hold of papa punya for the people. So, na adatte kasyachit papam na cha eva sukritam. Sukritam means punya. No papa, no punya. And so, then what about the people? Ajnanena avritam jnanam. So the knowledge of what? The knowledge, jnanam here is buddhi, viveka vijnanam. So viveka, discriminatory power is also called jnanam here, and then the faculty which has the discriminatory power, aka buddhi, is also called jnanam. This will be talked about in the bhashya. Both are called jnanam. So ajnanena avritam jnanam. So this ajnanam, what kind of ajnanam? Atmanaha ajnanam, our own self, that one does not know the truth and the glory of one's own self is like a covering, is like an eclipse on one's own thinking process, one's own reasoning, and one's own, what else? One's own ability to understand what I should do, what I should not do. All these things are as though covered. And this as though covering is like an eclipse. We see this in a beautiful stanza of the Dakshinamurti Stotram. Rahugrasta divakarendu sadrusho maya samachhadanat sanmatrah karanopasamharanato yo bhut sushuptah puman pragasvapsamiti prabodha samaye yah pratyabhignayate tasmai shri gurumurtaye namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Tasmai Namaha Idam Namaha. This salutation unto that. May this salutation go unto that Lord. Who is that? Guru Murtaye. Into that embodiment of the teacher, the Adi Guru, Dakshinamurti. So Dakshina Abhimukha Murtihi. So the Murti that is facing south, or Dakshina is also Dakshaha, the one who is adept in cutting the cords of samsara for all the jivas, Dakshinamurti. Tasmai Dakshinamurtaye Namaha, Idam Namaha, this salutation. Who is this Dakshinamurti? So, like the one that wakes the person up from the sleep of what? The eclipse of self-ignorance. Like even the sun and the moon regularly 2 times a year, what happens? They are as it were eclipsed. An eclipse is a very good understanding of the phrase as though. Because if it was, the eclipse was real, it would always be like a dark mark on the sun or the moon. But it is not there. It's as though the shadow comes and the shadow goes. And so similarly with Atma Ajnanam is compared to this shadow, and this shadow has to be removed by Atma Jnanam. And so therefore here the Ajnanena Avritam Jnanam. The Jnanam means the Buddhi here, and the ability to distinguish between Nitya and Anitya is as it were overshadowed by this eclipse called Ajnanam. This is a good example, very fortuitous example, because the eclipse is permanent or temporary? Temporary, thank God. Thank God it is temporary. So, but it still creates havoc. Tena muhyanti. Muhyanti means they get deluded. Who gets deluded? Jantavaha. Oh, okay, I am not being addressed, correct? Yeah. Jantavaha means what? Creatures. Yeah, other than human. Oh, okay. This is talking about some creature somewhere, creepy crawly, or the one that's on the ceiling. It does. What is that? Yeah. So, gecko, lizard, those are the creatures. Monkeys, that come in the morning, and sometimes they make 2 trips in a day. So, these are the creatures that are being addressed by the 15th verse of the 5th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Yes? No. Why? They don't need this verse. Yeah. Monkey doesn't apologize for snatching something from you. Oops, sorry, I was really hungry. And my bestial instincts took over. Does he say that? No? Yeah. And the cat will sit on the table. It likes high places because it's the boss. It will look at you and knock off something there while keeping eye contact. Yeah. While maintaining eye contact, it will look at you and knock something off, which shows what? Complete and total absence of guilt. Okay. No hurt, no guilt. That means what? No samsara. No samsara. No hurt, no guilt, no samsara. Then that means, do they need Vedanta? No, they don't need. So who is the Jantu here? Who is the creature? 2-footed creature here. Not a bird. Okay. Yeah. Bird brain. That is the idea. So birds are actually very intelligent. So we shouldn't insult them by calling ourselves bird brain. But nonetheless, here Lord Krishna says, if you are under the influence of Atma Ajnanam and are not, two conditions. If you are under the influence of Atma Ajnanam, one, and two, you are doing nothing to remove it, that is what makes one Jantu. They come under the spell of Moha. Tena muhyanti jantavaha. Let us see the bhashya. Muhyanti means they get repeatedly, they get what? They get fooled. Muhyanti. They take something that is as themselves, which is not to be taken at all as themselves, and tena muhyanti jantavaha. Now, where is the bhashya? It went somewhere, hold on. So, na adatte. Na adatte is from the moola, from the verse itself. Nacha grinhati. Does not take on anybody. Kasyachit api means bhaktasyapi. Kasyachit means what? Anyone. Anyone means even the closest bhakta comes and says, I am hurting, oh Bhagavan, take away my papa, you please take it on. Will Bhagavan oblige? Say no. I will give you karma phala which will neutralize that. Your own karma phala I will give as a result of the prayers and as a result of your supplication to me right now. But what can I not do? Take on your papa. Bhaktasyapi. So kasyachit here is translated into bhaktasyapi kasyachit papam na eva adatte. Sukrutam. Sukrutam means bhaktaihi prayuktam. Bhaktaihi prayuktam means whatever the good deeds have been gained by the bhaktas, that also Bhagavan will not take, because Bhagavan is like the Atma, totally akarta, abhokta. Abhokta of one's own papa punya, what to talk of the papa punya of the whole world. Otherwise Bhagavan will be the great, you have a lot of stress. If Bhagavan took on, let's say in the world right now, in the universe, let's say about a third of the human population is having terrible headache. Okay? And if they all gave it to Bhagavan, and we will not be able to find a Bhagavan-sized aspirin for that Bhagavan-sized headache. And then Bhagavan will have to take some time off. Yeah, Bhagavan will have to take some time off and then say, I cannot be the karta, dharta, samharta. Why? Because I have headache. That is not happening. Atma is what? Aluptadrik. Aluptadrik means the seer without eyelids. Why do you have to do such have a grotesque imagery? Seer with just two eyeballs looking down like this. Why do you have to have this kind of a imagery? Because that is what the Shastra says. Why not eyelids? Because in a blink of an eye, have you heard that expression? I had kept my wallet right here. In a blink of an eye, it was in somebody else's pocket. That means what? In a blink, you can miss many things in a blink. That's why Atma, aka Bhagavan, have no eyelids, so to speak, the seer, the constant seer, alupta drik, the drik for which there is no lopa. Lopa means any kind of a disappearance is not there. So, no lopa is there, and then because it registers everything, it sees everything, and then so this kind of Bhagavan, what is that? Is totally free of papa punya. No need to take on anyone's papa. So, then Adi Shankara asks a very pertinent and a troubling question. Tarhi, if this being the case, kimartham bhaktaihi pujadi lakshanam kimartham? Then what for are all those pujas. See, here we are doing puja 2-3 times a day, and then else in all the other ashrams, we are just talking of Rishikesh. How many ashrams are there? Countless. And in these countless ashrams, they all have temples, plus there are other temples outside also, the ashrams, and everywhere 2 times a day puja is being offered. Ganga Arati, there one Ganga Arati, in the middle one Ganga Arati, here one Ganga Arati, there Triveni one Ganga Arati, and then other side Paramartha Niketan one Ganga Arati, so many Ganga Aratis, and so many pujas. Kimartham? What for are these karmas? What kind of karmas? Pujadi lakshanam karma. Kimartham? What for? Bhaktaihi, done by the bhaktas. So bhaktaihi kritam pujadi lakshanam karma. Kimartham? Kimartham means for what purpose? Why are people going and doing all these things? At the drop of a hat, people do homa. Yes, homa is very popular. Yes, homa means you just even word of mouth is enough. Especially the biggest one, which is called Chandi Homa. One of the biggest, not the biggest, one of the biggest. Huge pit, 9-yard saris, many of them are offered. Gold is offered, silver is offered for the Divine Mother Goddess. And you just even, people hear the word Chandi Homa and then they run to it. And then similarly, temples are very popular. Why? Not because of bhakti, but because of I want some punya. I want to go there and get some punya. Bhagavan will be the giver of punya. Okay, here this verse says he will not take punya, she will not take my punya or papa, but he can certainly give. I am not opposed to that. So Bhagavan is the giver of punya, and then, so therefore, temple if you are going to build right next to 5 other temples which are already there, you will still get lot of donations. Lot of, in 6 months it will be built, no problem. You will get land will be donated, and the labor will be donated, and then everything will be donated. And then you say, I am starting a Vedanta ashram. Yeah. Dream on, darling. That's all you will be told. Nobody has any value for that, no interest, because there is no value for that. The value is here in the sense of remaining in samsara. How can I stay afloat? Glub, glub, glub. This is what people want. Otherwise, if I don't go to the temple, I have literally a sinking feeling. So therefore, I want to stay afloat. So then, puja adi lakshanam karma kimartham. So why all these bhaktas are running to build temples? How many temples do we want? How many temples are there? This is a very valid question. Like in North America, there are so many temples. There is a Hindu Temple Federation of North America. Huge numbers of temples. And still people go on building. What for are these temples? And then of course they build the temple with great enthusiasm. And then what? The people who built the temple and their generation, they gain great satisfaction. They go there, they bow down, they do yajnas, they do all kinds of things. They get, and then at the same time, along with the satisfaction, they have the greatest worry. How to make the next generation interested. Next generation won't be interested. They say, Mom, Dad, I'm not Indian, I'm American. What is this mumbo jumbo? They'll come for a little while because they don't have a choice. They can't stay at home alone, and then otherwise a movie will be made, Home Alone 5, and so they cannot do that. And so therefore they cannot stay at home. So then they are dragged by the parents to the temple when they are small. After that they are not interested at all. Temple, shemple, oh, who cares? I don't know what's happening there. And then the parents and the grandparents, they have a very big concern. Oh, urgent concern. What will happen to our temples? Who asked you to build them? Adi Shankara is saying. First you build, and then you drag in the devotees who don't want to be devotees. Why? Because they grew up in a different culture, divorced from their own. They are what are they called? They are a second generation. They are second and third generations. And they are diasporic Hindus. Because I don't even think many of them will even call themselves Hindus. So now there is a great agitation about how to keep the temples from becoming museums, where just Bhagavan is there and people will say, aha, this temple was built in such and such a time and this is dedicated to Lord Rama. Please look. Okay, next exhibit. So this is what, this is what happens. So temple culture means there is a lot of bhakti, shraddha. For what sake? For the sake of karma phala. That's the only reason temples are very, very popular. So then he continues, what does he say? Pujadi lakshanam, and he gives the example of what those lakshanas are. Yaga, dana, homadikam. So, yaga, dana, homadikam. So, kimartham. So, for what reason do bhaktas flock there in the form of yaga and dana? Yaga means, yaga and homa are one and the same, but yaga means the chanting of the mantras for offering which have the words swaha and vashat. Only when these two words are there, phrases are there, then only you can offer, and all these mantras come in the Yajurveda. So the Yajurveda mantra chanting for the sake of putting the oblations is called yaga. Otherwise it's just general yajna, but since yaga and homa are together, we have to give them different meanings. Because Adi Shankara does not have the fallacy of being redundant. And so then yaga, dana. Danam you have to give. So you have to give dakshina and all these things, and then homa. Homa means the actual oblations. Homadikam, adipadar, some other chanting, etc. So kimartham sukritam prayujyate. Sukritam prayujyate means why do they get caught up with their punya? Why are they, of what use are these deeds? Because Atma is free of these deeds, but why are they hung up on the meritorious deeds, the good deeds? Why are they hung up on punya? Why are the devotees hung up on punya when the nature of the devotee is what? Free of papa punya. Why are they hung up? This is explained. Where is it explained? In the last pada. Ajnanena avritam jnanam. So, ajnanena avritam jnanam. So, viveka vijnanam. Jnanam here is the buddhi as the faculty. Nishchayatmika faculty. The faculty that is a decisive faculty is called buddhi. And so, viveka vijnanam is both the faculty and also its power. The power of discrimination is also called viveka vijnanam here. So, that buddhi unfortunately is as it were covered. Covered by what? I don't know myself, and therefore I am making mistakes about who I am. And what is the mistake that one is making? I am papi. I am a sinner. I have to go wash off my sins somewhere. I have to go to church, temple, synagogue, mosque, whatever I can get. I have to get that. I need, what is that? I need to be absolved. And somebody has to tell me, okay, your sins are gone. Somebody has to tell me. That's why the temple becomes extremely important. The place of worship becomes important because I have a sense of guilt. Based on my own omissions and commissions, there is a sense of guilt. And because of that sense of guilt, there is a sense of suffering. And that suffering I cannot handle. Therefore, I want to lay down somewhere, lay down all my burdens in a place and ask for some kind of a divine absolution, exemption from this idea of papa, omissions and commissions. And so the buddhi is fried. It is called bheja fry. Okay? So the buddhi is nicely fried up in these kinds of, in the oil, in the hot oil of samsara, which includes ajnanam thrown in for free. And this buddhi is not thinking properly. It is the buddhi of a desperate person, a vulnerable person, a helpless person. And this is why so many kinds of temples and all become very, very attractive. Places of worship. Temple here is Upalakshana for all places of worship. So the places of worship become attractive because I go there to wash off my omissions and commissions. God will take care, whatever one calls God, however one defines God, will take care of my omissions and commissions and save me from what? My own kartritvam. Save me from myself. And this is the idea. This is ajnanam in its quintessential form. This ajnanam, because of this, all the creatures are deluded. They are all deluded. And how they are deluded, they are going to tell, Adi Shankara is going to tell. So, karomi iti deluded. Karomi means what? I fly a kite, correct? No, I do. I am the author of action. So, karomi iti muhyanti. This is how they get completely deluded. Because are you doing? No. Why? I am not the doer. That is the teaching of the Shastra. Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, all of them are unanimous in revealing the nature of the I as free of doership. Simple logic we can give, forget even the Shastra, yuktya api, even through the logic we can understand. Because if you are a doer, doing is your swarupa, then in sleep also what should you be doing? Keeping on doing something or the other. In sleep there is a cessation of doership. In samadhi, meditation, there is a cessation of doership. So that means what? Atma, I, can be without doing. Understand this. This is just logic. Logically itself it can be established. What? Yadyad vyabhicharati, anything that moves or changes, anything that is contradictory, what is that? Tat anityam. Tattan anityam. So, yadyad vyabhicharati, that which varies all the time, that which is subject to change is what? Anityam. How? Kartritvavat. Yeah. So, like even one's doership. And what is the hetu? Anityatvat. Anityatvat is the hetu, the cause of this doership being non-permanent is because it is observably temporary. In sleep there is no identification with doings or with other people's omissions and commissions affecting me. I am neither karta in the sleep nor am I bhokta in the sleep. This itself should tell me that anything that keeps changing is not my intrinsic unchanging nature. Very simple. So, doership can be dismissed like that. Even without one word from the Shastra, you just take the pedagogy of the three states of experience and you look in the sleep state, no doership, no experiencership, no debt, no fears, no pain, no sorrow, no acting and no repenting. Why did I act in this way? And so, the Atma being free, still the moha makes one say what? Karomi, I do. And then the other one who is richer than the first, Mr. Karomi. And then, so Mrs. Karayami. Who am I? I am a wealthy person, full of riches. I don't do, I hire you and make you do. Karayami. This is a suffix called nich. Okay. And so, causal. Make you do. I make you do. Why? Because I have the money to hire you. I hire you and say, hey, you missed a spot. Hey, I told you to do this, you didn't do this. I'm not the doer, I am the one who makes you do. Bhokshye means I enjoy my karma phala. I enjoy my karma phala, bhokshye. I enjoy. How do I enjoy? I go and then I do a big yajna, many people come and all these things, and then I pray in the yajna, I should have this much money and all these things, and then being Sri Sukta Homa, then what happens? Money somehow comes, and then I enjoy the fruits of my deeds. Bhokshye, I enjoy. Bhojayami, I suddenly get very expansive in the heart, make you also enjoy. And this we see, like the children will not go to the temple because they are modern, next generation, next gen. So they are not interested in going to the temple, and the parents feel, oh my God, they are missing out, oh my God, their exams are coming. So they themselves go to the temple to pray for the children's welfare. And sometimes they give outright bribes to Bhagavan. Yes. They go to the Devi temple, please make my son or daughter, my child, pass the exams. The child is not studying at all, okay? Yeah, the books have gathered dust and somewhere in the top shelf. This top shelf is empty, okay? And then the parents go and say, please, 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 make him or her study. Make them pass. And then what will I have to do? Something for you because you are going to do this for me. This is samsaric thinking. And so, oh Mother Goddess, I will give you a wonderful sari with a gold border. Yeah. You say the quiet part out aloud, okay? Yeah. This is the Hindu dharma. Yeah. You could be, and this is seen as bhakti. And Lord Krishna in the 7th chapter is going to validate even this form of bhakti and say, Udaraha sarva evate. Even the person who makes deals with Bhagavan is an exalted being because there is bhakti there. So here, the mother and the father pray, please make them study. And then what? The son or daughter comes home and then they are trying to get something from the shelf. Instead, all the books fall on their head. Yeah. And then they suddenly think, okay, maybe I should study. See, the prayer worked. Okay. So, like this, and then sometimes people go get one mantra and then, and then chant the mantra. And then in the 70s and 80s, even up to the 90s, this transcendental meditation was very, very famous. TM. So they would give short mantras which even the foreigners could pronounce. Aim, Hreem, not very hard, just by itself. They would just give these bija mantras by themselves and ask people to chant. And then in California, one incident happened that Pujya Swamiji would never tire narrating. So this couple was already having marital difficulties. And then he went and got one mantra for $300, okay? He went and got one mantra and was chanting it in the room. And she said, what is this you're doing? I'm chanting a mantra. Who will take out the garbage? Silence. Only mantra sound is being heard. And then, she was very, very upset. She said, already you don't spend time, you don't do what is to be done, and what kind of stress why do you need this mantra? I got lot of stress. You are not even employed, neither are you employable, and I am doing all the work. I am cleaning, I am cooking, and all I ask you to do is take out the garbage. You can't even manage that. What kind of stress you have? And he opens one eye just to engage with her. I've got my own stress. And then goes back to chanting the mantra. How did you get this mantra? Oh, you go to this place and you ask for this mantra. Did you have to pay anything? $300. What? What is this mantra? Sorry, I can't tell you. What do you mean you can't tell me? It's a secret. What do you mean it's a secret? Such a costly secret? How can you have such a $300 secret and that too from me? No, I can't tell you. This is how it is. Mantra should not be told to anybody. And then she's just so frustrated. $300 here, I have been asking for money for this, for that, for so many things we need, and here you spent it all, you blew it all on this meaningless mantra. Meaningless, what is this mantra? At least tell me what it is. It's just a meaningless sound, because he doesn't know what it is. He says it's a meaningless sound. You spent $300 on a meaningless sound? Yes, I did. She says, that's it. I'm leaving you. And she goes to the bedroom, packs all her belongings, and then storms out of the house, slams the door behind her. And then soon he hears the Uber, and then she's gone. He opens one eye cautiously, she shouldn't be lurking around somewhere. Opens the other eye and he says, by God, it was worth it. This mantra works. No. So saying like this, we all ascribe our own doings to Bhagavan. Whereas the truth is what? Bhagavan's nature is exactly like your nature. Na adatte kasyachit papam bhaktasyapi papam na adatte. And so, like this, karomi, karishye. The puja words are all this. Ahamidam karishye, or a group puja karishyamaha. We are doing this, we will be doing this with this intention for this result. This is all part of moha. Moha means the identification with karta, bhokta, pramata, etc. The identification with the status of being doer. So first I do, karomi. So kimartham, why do you do? Kimartham, why do you do? So that I can enjoy. Bhogaya karma. All karma is for the sake of what? Enjoyment alone. Nobody does karma for the sake of karma. No one does that. What are you doing? Cooking. What is the purpose of cooking? Just for the sake of cooking. I like how the food looks. Nobody says that. Cooking is for eating. Working 5 days is for having 2 days off and freaking out. That is the weekend. And then working for the whole year so you can get 15 days off. Working the whole life so you can get the rest of the life off. Whether you are in a shape to enjoy it or not, you want that off. So everything, bhogaya eva karma, so karomi karayami, and then for what purposes? Bhokshye, bhojayami. I cause other people to enjoy. I enjoy iti evam moham gachanti. Who are they? Jantavaha. Adi Shankara's translation, avivekis, avivekinaha. People who don't have any idea. They are all into karma because they consider themselves karta. And then who are they? Samsarinascha. They are all samsarin. What is the meaning of samsarin? Those who are in samsara. That is what is samsar in. In samsara, not getting out anytime soon. These are the people. And such people were already described in the 2nd chapter. And where they these are the vulnerable people who wish to be absolved of something or the other, who feel they have done bad things, etc. And they fall prey to headstrong leaders and they get astray. Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadanti avipashchitaha. Avipashchitaha pravadanti. So the people who are not knowledgeable, they brand themselves as knowledgeable and they say all kinds of things. And who are they? Vedavada rataha. They are stuck to the first portion of the Veda which says do this, do that, do this, and keeps the doership and also the ajnanam and also the samsaritvam going. Vedavada rataha. And then what else do they say? Na anyad asti iti vadinaha. Nothing else is there. That's all is there. Please keep doing. What else is there? What Vedanta? No. That's just there for Alankara and Abhisheka. That's all. When you're doing Abhisheka, you chant Om Brahmavida Apnoti Param. That's what is happening in all the temples. You just chant. And then Vedavadarataha na anyadasti iti vadinaha. And who are they? Kamatmanaha. Their whole embodiment is just nothing but desire. Svargaparaha. They are just intent on afterlife. Before life, after life, whatever it is, they keep wanting something or the other, some comfort, and then Kriya Vishesha Bahulam. And they are just keeping on wanting all kinds of, they keep on taking out the first portion of the Veda and finding out newer and newer, new for us, yajnas. Archaic yajnas that have never been done and shouldn't be done, they keep recycling them and upcycling them and doing them. And then for what? Bhogaishwarya gatim prati. What is the end they want? Bhoga. This is the same bhojayami, bhokshe. That bhoga, enjoyment they want. Result of action they quickly want. And then aishwarya, they want power. Power and enjoyment motivates these people, and if you come under their spell, Arjuna, that would be because you don't have vyavasayatmika buddhihi. Your viveka is needing to go to the gym and strengthen itself. It needs to develop a muscle in the face of these kinds of onslaughts. It needs to develop a muscle so that it has a value for understanding this knowledge. And so, therefore, this is what was already talked in the second chapter, which is being reiterated in the fifth chapter, Avivekinaha Samsarinaha. And what do? They are keeping on reproducing the Aviveka. Reproducing what? Samsara also. And then we have the next verse. We'll chant it and see the meaning tomorrow. Jnanena tu tadajnanam येषां नाशितमात्मनः तेषामादित्यवत् ज्ञानं प्रकाशयति तत्परम् ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ